Welcome back to the Sideline Sit Down. I'm Mark Molina with Real Sports Live, and accompanying me for our 3 p.m. is Pace head coach, football coach Danny Pardo. Coach, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, Coach. First of all, everybody, like as we know, one of our colleagues, longtime sports writer Roy Hess, passed away yesterday morning. A lot of people knew him, and we just want to again send our condolences and thoughts to his family. And Coach, I know you've dealt with Roy, being a part of Brownsville for so long. Roy's had so much influence on the area. Coaches had a good rapport with them. Do you have any thoughts and you would like to share on Mr. Hess?
Yeah, it's a great loss for you guys and us as Force Sports. Roy always seemed to be around with us there. During football season, he found ways just to keep everything positive. He always had good stories, and man, he had a memory. He could remember people from way back then. And I used to enjoy sitting down when during soccer games. I'm not much of a soccer guy, but I used to go, be there, and he would come in and we'll chit chat about football, soccer. But it's a great loss to everybody, and our condolences from Pace coaching staff, to their families. It's a great loss, like I said.
Yeah, and so with that, we'll move along, Coach. I know it's trying times for everybody with the whole COVID situation and the quarantine. You as a man in charge of a athletic department here, just what's it been like for you guys? How's everything been moving along for you, especially in recent weeks when everything's starting to ramp up a little bit?
Well, we started with, kind of depending on our kids to do the workouts that we send through, either meetings or, emails and, huddle and all that. And, we depend on them to do it. At first, it looked kind of bad, man. I don't know. I know they would look like it wasn't maybe not even start football or anything like that. And then the governor opened up a lot of the stuff, you know, to allow us to at least come and see. We're gonna be the only ones, I guess, in Brownsville. They're gonna be allowed on the campuses, which is athletes, which is good. So I'm pretty sure people are gonna be looking how we handle all the situation. And of course, the main concern is keeping everybody healthy, and coaches and kids involved. And we'll start in June 8th. We're already making preparations with all kinds of disinfectants and everything to keep us off, you know, us good health and everything, and the kids as well. So but we're excited because at least now it looks better for the future as far as football getting started. So that's a plus. Hopefully, there's not an increase of cases or anything like that around where they have to shut us down again. But at least it looks a lot better now.
Hmm. How have you, mentally and whatnot, how have you dealt with some of the athletes? I mean, just what's been your message to them? I mean, just how have you tried to, keep the morale high with them and, making sure that they're out there still preparing and, giving their best?
Well, the coordinators and myself and the head coaches, we're all kind of have meetings with them, and like I said, we have workouts that we send to them, and we try to, at first it was kind of like, we just tell them, hey, get ready, get ready. At least now we tell them that there's a start date now where we can actually see them. So we should be, the kids should be more excited to come and at least do some kind of work with us, and we get to see them and not just depending on them doing the workout, by themselves. So it's like I said, it's going to be a lot better for the kids. They should be more motivated. They are. Some of them can't wait, to get out here. So it's all good.
Yeah. And, you built that rapport with the kids, the culture, and a solid coaching staff around you, coach, since you've arrived at Pace, and there's been and you guys have bared the fruit from it. The football team and athletics as a whole, has kind of ramped up in the last few years, and on the rebound. So just overall, since you've gotten there, since you became the head football coach, just what's it been like trying to put in that culture change, and how have you guys dealt with some of the success?
Well, when I came in, the main thing was, try to send a message and that that everything that I was gonna tell them, it was not something that I just kind of say, hey, I'm bringing this to the house or anything. I mean, what I told them had already been done at pace, since we were there before I came back to it. We were there for a long time. So everything that I told them had to do with, what had been done in the past. So, knowing that I'd already had success there, we had success before there. Um, it was easier to transition. And then the culture was to change the other sports where there wasn't division or anything like that. And the coaches would understand that the whole program would change as long as we allowed it to change, and not say, this is my kid, that's my kid, I don't coach that kid. We have what we have, and I told them you better make it, happen with what we have. And I think the attitude that we took, back there since the old days was, it doesn't matter what the obstacles are, you got to find a way. And then that's the attitude we always had. I was fortunate enough that I have some staff was still there from the old staff, and then of course the top assistants, had all gone through the same program, so that made it a lot easier, And then a lot of the coaches in the other sports were there when I was just a coordinator, and we all worked under the same head coach, so they all knew the expectations from me. I made it clear, and I understand that not every sport was going to get going as fast as we did. I mean, I think a lot of things lined up for us to get started so quick. But the other sports kind of followed what we're doing, And I meet with the head coaches every now and then, and kind of talk about, how their season's going, how they give me their ideas, and they're pretty open to what I say, just like I'm pretty open to when they give me a good idea and I can use it for football. Believe me, I'll use it if it's gonna help me win. And at the end of the day, the idea was to tell them, it doesn't matter what, you got to win. That's the only way you keep kids. That's the only way you get kids to come back to where to where they belong and all that. So I think it's changing little by little. It's changing. And one time, no ex principal said that football really is the one that sets the pace for the rest of the year because we're the first sport. And I truly believe that. I figured that if we could get things rolling, it would trickle down to the other sports. And I think it did.
Yeah, for sure. And let's shift over to football specifically here with you. I mean, you guys have come in there a couple of playoff berths. Just really turn things around in the last couple of seasons in a 10-team district that you guys have had to play in. I mean, that's no easy task. There's a lot of good teams in that district, but there you guys have been. Scrappy contenders and you know kids that play their hearts out, and really to stick around in a 10-team district and make the playoffs, do what you guys have done, often having really top defensive units there to top it all off. Just how have you seen the success, and how do you think it's really motivated the program going forward?
Well, it is tough. It's tough to be in a 10-team district. There's no room for error. A lot that you shouldn't get, really affects you down the road. So, we kind of talk about, make sure that the games we should win, we win, and the ones that we need to try to steal, we try to steal. But once you start winning, and like I said, we had some breaks along the way. Uh, the attitude changes. The first year I came in and I brought my two assistants, which one is Coach Morales. I've been with him since day one, since I started working. And the other, my offensive defensive coordinator, he was one of my ex-students, played for me, coached under me, and then came back, and now he's the defensive coordinator. And like you mentioned, he's done a great job. Those defensive units have been pretty good, regardless of how. If you look at our group, we're little Mexicans, like I said the other day. We're not very big, but they're gonna get coached well. I tell you that, and they're gonna play their hearts out. That I guarantee you. That's something that's gonna happen. But the kids, when we go and we talk to middle school and we talk to our kids, we tell them we don't care what size we are. We don't care. Those are things that we can't control. We are who we are. What we do control is the attitude we bring to the game. That's what we control. And they really bought into it. They get excited. They no longer, before when I got there, man, they're big, they're fast. I said, dude, man, it doesn't matter. You still got to play them. We got to find a way to win. And that's basically how we run it. But it's they're excited. Kids now, before, I don't want to play defense or this or that. Now we just tell them you might end up playing a different position next year than you are. We sell it to the point that it's whatever the defense needs or whatever the team needs to win. That's what's going to be done. And all of the kids now are pretty receptive to it. I mean, they understand that. And I think we have it to a point where they really enjoy just being part of it. And regardless of what we ask them to do, they'll go out and do it.
I know you spoke of trickling down. I feel like it's kind of trickled down from the varsity on down to the freshmen, the sub varsity teams. I remember we talked and you spoke really highly of some of the younger kids that are coming up. How you kind of compared them to some of the old school pace teams that you had. As far as toughness and physicality.
Yeah, in the old days, we used to get those kids that kind of were farm workers. They grew up a little tough life. The kids that kind of I tell them they're street rats. They're out there and they live on the street. They understand how things work. We don't get too many of those kids anymore, but the mentality is the same. My JV, our JV, I think went 7-3 or something like that. Our freshman won district this year, and the freshman group is the one that really it's exciting to see because there's some mean ones there. I'm telling you, we're excited. I mean, we started one freshman this year at outside linebacker, and then we have another freshman that was a receiver. They kind of went in and out, but you expect good things from that other one. Didn't play too much. He just happened to be in a receiving core that we had a senior group, but he is talented. I'm telling you, he's gonna be a pretty good kid. I'm telling you, pretty good athlete. And we took that kid away, those two kids from the freshman team that won district title, and then we took about 3 other ones that played JV. And they still managed to win the district title in a 10 team. We lost an early game to Porter, and I think they went in there thinking that they had never gotten beat. That group hadn't lost a game in 2 years in the middle schools. So they thought that people were just gonna lay down for them. Well, they got a rude awakening in the first game. After that, I mean, they say, you know what, we still need to go play, and that was kind of like the attitude they had. So confident group. It's exciting to see, and knowing that we're still kind of young. Like I always tell, we're still young, but we're not inexperienced. We'll have an experienced group coming back, but they're still going to be mainly sophomores and juniors, coming back. So that's exciting. But the mentality of the old days is definitely coming out, and this new group's coming up.
Yeah. You talk about the role that the younger kids have played. I know we've talked to it at length before and in previous interviews, but coming into this past season, a lot of people, including myself, were wondering, Pace had a really, really top-notch defense. Would it compare this next year? And then as the season went along, it's like you guys found your wits about you. You got more comfortable as the season went on. You talk about that freshman linebacker who we spoke about earlier a few months ago. I mean, he found his way to gain speed, and it just all started to flourish with you. And you talked about being experienced and young. The impact that they had on your varsity team this year. I mean, it was huge. I mean, just how did you see that develop throughout the season?
Well, Andrew was the one that got the most snaps, so he's the outside backer. So at first, we're trying to kind of hold him back and just, play technique and all this. He's very instinctive. So we had to hold him back a little bit because he would get in trouble just by trying to be instinctive. I say, so late in the year, he understood, how to play the position and all that. And believe me, he's going to be a good one, because once he sees things ahead of time, he's going to be all over the place. And the defense will be still good. We might have to move 1 or 2 kids to the offensive side because of, people that graduate on the offense. But believe me, there's people that are going to step in on the defensive end and, defensive inside of it, on the defensive side, and still be productive. We got quite a bit of, kids that are waiting to play varsity. Before it used to be, I mean, you had no choice. You play who you had.
Mhm.
Now people are pushing each other to, to try to be in the varsity. And we don't we don't tell them you're returning, you're it. No, we tell them they understand that every year the best 11 are going to play on defense, the best 11 are going to play on offense.
Mhm.
So they understand. They understand that just because you were there this past year doesn't mean you're going to be there. But they also understand they got to keep getting better to stay there.
Yeah. And you talked about you know trying to play up to some of the guys that are bigger and that they have speed. I mean, and they really took that to heart. And I know we've gone over this game volley a couple of times already, but the playoff game with Miller this year. I mean, going into it, nobody gave you a chance. Admittedly, us included. They were averaging upwards of 50 plus points per game. They hadn't lost the game. You guys were huge underdogs. I think the line might have been like 40 points, so they were like favored by. It was just, nobody was giving you a chance to be there, coach. But coming in, you get the rain. It's cold. You make them uncomfortable a little bit. You come out, force early turnovers. Just the way that game unfolded was just tailor made for a scrappy bunch of guys. Just what do you remember being on the sideline from before the game up to it, and just how did you see your chances, and just how did that day just unravel for you?
When we got there and it was raining, it was cold. I was telling my coach, this is gonna play in our favor. In the old days when we didn't have turf, we used to go in the gyms to practice. But we used to go in there because it was rainy and the field was bad to practice on. I know this once we got the turf, my basketball coach said, "Coach, the gym is available. You need." I go, "Look, dude, we're gonna play. There's gonna be games that you gotta play regardless how it is." And over the years, this last at least these two last years, we practice outside regardless if it was cold or rainy. So I knew my kids were not gonna be too affected. We went in and said, "Look, hey, this is like our regular practice. It's cold," and they will come out, "Coach, can we go to the gym?" Yeah, we can go to the gym, but there ain't gonna be no gym when you go play a game, a real game. I mean, you got to play it outside. And they understood. So we're not there. I said, "Look, ball is gonna be slick. We got to make that little quarterback, be a little bit uncomfortable. Where the ball's gonna be. It's gonna be cold, and he might not be able to grab the ball the way he normally grabs it and throws it and be so accurate throwing the ball and all that." And the other one said, "We love to run the ball, so hold on to it and control the clock, and it should be okay." And I knew nobody was giving us a chance. I mean, when I saw the lines and I saw how many points they were putting up, and I said, "Look, at the end of the day, we're gonna play the game just like they are, and let's see what happens." I go, "Just keep fighting, keep playing the way we normally play, and we'll be all right." You know. But I think over the years, I know last year we played. I think it was Ray, and they handed to us. And I always use that as a motivator for the offseason. I said, "Look, we're gonna go and be in the playoffs again." Because once we made the first time, the attitude for us is like it's not if we're gonna make it, but the goal is to get past the first round, and we haven't done it. So I know the first year that I made the playoffs, the first year we got Sheridan. Sheridan put a whooping on us. Right after the game, I told Ron, "Hey Ron, let's hook up next year. Let's play." My idea was to get the young kids that were coming back to see what an off season would do for them from one year to the next. And we go and play the second year there. We go play Sherland at their place, and I mean, it was a overtime game. Kids were all excited. See, that's what happens. When you put an off season, you put the time in, you start closing that gap between those programs and us. Nobody in their wildest dream would say Pace would ever play up to Sherland the way we did the second year. So, and then this year, I said, when the second year when we lost to Ray, same thing. I said, "Look, those who we're going to play in the first round, we're going to go play Corpus team. So we better learn how to play to their level, and not worry about, what we used to doing or not used to doing." So when we went up there, some of these kids were already seasoned on it. They already knew what to expect from a Corpus team. So they were not afraid to see a quarterback that threw for so many yards. They were not afraid about receivers or anything like that. The first year we played Ray, they were like, wow, they got a quarterback that rushed for 1,000 and threw for another 1,000, and they have this and they were in awe, you know. So we use that as a motivation to let them know this is what's coming up, and now this coming year, now we got, Westaco East. So the, hard-nosed football. I mean, Coach Brigade does a great job over there. I've seen them over the years. You got them, you got the McAllen School, you got McAllen Memorial, known for the running game. Our defense now, working on their schemes, what they do, and all that stuff. Because I know for a fact we're not going to be as big as they are, but we're going to try to run them. So, but yeah, that's the attitude we have. And I knew going into it that our kids will be ready to play it on a bad night.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just such a great game to watch, Coach. But yeah, you talk about some of the running game and some of the kids. This year, of course, Dylan Baron had a really great year on the ground. Your quarterback was the Banda. He was big in that playoff game. So I mean, you have some younger kids coming back, including your quarterback this next year. You know, Even with the tough new district, I mean, you gotta think that guys are gonna come out and compete. Just the makeup of the team, just gut feeling. What's the impression there? Before the season, before everything gets going. Hopefully.
Well, I think now the program is in a position where it can compete with just about anybody in the valley. Um, but you know, it's still going to be tough. I think there's like 6 teams that are going to be probably vying for a playoff spot. Of course, down in our side, will be Brownsville Vets is still going to be pretty good. I think Porter's going to have a senior ball club. Their group, kind of took us to the wire on that game. Of course, you got the McAllens, Nikki Rowe. I mean, tell you, Coach Rose over there. He's made the playoff. I think the last 2 years, something like that. He's done a good job. Mac Kyle has great athletes. Now they have a coach there that maybe he can turn things around. And of course, McAllen Memorial is going to be tough. So you look at those games. It's going to be there's no walk in the park, man. Every game is going to be pretty much like a playoff game. So it's definitely going to be but tough. But we're up to the challenge. To be honest, we're up to the challenge. I think the program, like I said, it's grown to a point where the kids are very confident what they can do. It doesn't matter who they're playing. They're no longer those kids that kind of get wide-eyed because they're playing. Westlaco East has been third round, fourth round every year. They're actually excited. When we told them what the district was going to look like, I mean, I said the schools, and when I got to Westlaco, they were all excited. That's they understand the game. They understand what it is, and they want to match up with the best out there, just to see where they're at. And they're excited. The young ones are just as excited as the older ones. So it's gonna be exciting. We're all looking forward to it. That's why, you know, being able to go out there and strengthen, at least strengthen condition, and get to see them, that's a big plus, man.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing I kind of wanted to touch on here, Coach, yeah, well, we see what's going on at Pace, but, you look around Brownsville the last couple of years, and it seems the level, especially like when you look at the football field, has just been raised. You talk about yourself down the road, Brownsville veterans. Hannah had a great team a couple of years ago. Porter's won a couple of games, and they've kind of started turning things around. Rivera looked a lot tougher this year. You look at all of BISD, it's like there's a lot of hard-nosed football being played right now, and the programs are all on the up and up. It seems. Just what's your impression of that?
It is. I mean, I guess when the teams make it, for say like Hannah a year ago, I mean, making it 3 rounds deep, and these kids play each other. So in their head, they're saying like, well, I'm just as good as they are. And so they start playing a little more up to the level they should be playing, and not knowing that, there's more to it than just, okay, we're playing Brownsville. But yeah, I mean, some of these kids, again, it's always been up there. Hannah, we're coming around. I mean, Porter was a couple of games, a score here and there, and they ended up with with the winning season. I think they ended up 5-5 or something like that. So Lopez, a couple of years back, they were up there. They hit some bumps so far, but they'll come around. Rivera. I mean, I saw them in the scrimmage, and their numbers is ridiculous. They got a lot of kids out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they got them from. Maybe they were not playing before, but they're playing now, and they're great size. We saw them against Porter in the scrimmage because we're gonna play Porter, and we're like, wow, they got some size out there, and they got some speed. And from what I understand, their freshman group is pretty good too. So that program is up and coming too. So, yeah, all Browns is kind of coming around now. So that's good. It's kind of hard to have programs as a whole city just because we're so divided. So many schools in one town. But it's fun to see it. It's fun to see that these kids are coming around and competing with the Upper Valley schools and all that.
Yeah, definitely, Coach. Definitely. Well, hey, it's been a pleasure, Coach. I want to thank you so much for your time and coming on here with us, doing this. I know it's an outlet for a lot of people to come on and watch these shows. So I just want to thank you for participating with us here.
Anytime, man. And like I said, you're more than welcome to come to our place anytime you want. The kids kind of like seeing their pictures coming out or part of the practice coming out on TV. So it's always exciting for them. And then in their own words, they say, okay, they found out where Pace is at now. We know they know where Pace is at. Before, I guess nobody would stop by, so they say, well, they don't even know where Pace is at. But at least we put ourselves on the map again. And hopefully we can continue to grow as a program, continue to grow as a whole athletic program, and make Brownsville a little better.
For sure, Coach. And we'll definitely take you up on an invitation whenever practices and stuff hopefully begin to ramp up here. Just want to thank you for coming on again. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Go follow us on wherever you do your social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Real Sports Live. Catch us there. We have another show at 5 p.m. Rivera's Beto Leal and Hugo Ramirez are going to come on and join us here in about an hour and a half. So keep it with us, guys. Coach Pardo, thanks again for joining us. And we'll see you guys soon.
Thanks for the invitation.